Anyway, right. Well, it's Groundhog Day in America because every day seems to bring the same damn thing. A new flood of uncorroborated, unprovable, highly disputed, and incredibly dubious allegations against Donald Trump. Allegations that the accusers have just conveniently sat on for years and only just now, days before the election, decided to step forward with. Trump is a groper. Trump said he was a big Hitler fanboy. Trump was mean about a dead Mexican-American soldier. And so on, and so on, and so forth. Oh yes, no, Trump's chief of staff apparently heard the president talking 5 years ago about his admiration for Hitler and dictators and whatever when he was back in office. And this same chief of staff never said anything. Didn't quit, didn't go to the press, didn't whatever. Until now. Yes, we're supposed to believe that. Come on. It's all part of a coordinated strategy by the Harris campaign to throw anything that'll stick at Trump as the polls swing against the Democrat and her otherwise utterly empty campaign. I'll tell you what, so many of these stories, they're so lame that they are being launched through ridiculously hard left propaganda organs like The Guardian and The Atlantic. The latter of which, of course, is owned by the billionaire widow of Steve Jobs, who is also one of Kamala Harris's closest pals and best fundraisers. But, you know, there's an explanation for all this. I can tell you what's going on. It's all just the part of the latest stage of grief that the Kamala Harris campaign is going through. Let's go through all the stages that they've been through since she was named the nominee. We started with joy, and then we moved on to hiding from the media, and then there was a bit of brat summer, and then there was the crucial do all the media you can and hope this campaign catches fire stage, which we seem to be emerging out of as we head into the current stage, which is the call Trump Hitler stage of grief. Will acceptance be the final stage? Don't bet on it. Look at this. CNN had a town hall with Kamala Harris on Thursday, and I'll get to what else happened a bit in there later in the show. But let me play this little exchange between Kamala Harris and host Anderson Cooper.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, so now she has gone and said it. Trump is a fascist. Now, on one level, this is an old Democrat trick. I mean, this goes back decades. Back in 1948, Harry S. Truman complained that his Republican opponent, New York Governor Thomas E. Dewey, was like Hitler. And this was, by the way, at a time when memories of Hitler were, shall we say, a bit more raw. But this is important because Harris also said this.
Do you believe Donald Trump is anti-Semitic?
I believe Donald Trump is a danger to the well-being and security of America.
Okay, so Trump is a fascist. Trump is a danger. Well, you know that I am no fan of the idea that words cause violence, but given there have already been 2 attempts on Donald Trump's life, you gotta ask, is this responsible? Now, I'll get to the rest of the performance at that town hall a bit later on, but again, let's go back to the polls. The Wall Street Journal's latest polling puts Trump ahead. He's doing well in most of the swing states, and if that's anything to go by, he's in with a pretty good chance. Which brings up a really uncomfortable question. What comes next? Let's assume Donald Trump wins and is declared the victor. Will the Democrats, you know, the ones who are all saying democracy, we're the ones who are defending democracy, will they accept the results of the election? Because, as I always say, Democrats love nothing more than accusing Republicans of that which they themselves are guilty of. Right now, the Democrats are trying to convince voters that Donald Trump is a handsy dementia case. After covering for 3.5 years for Joe Biden, who fell apart right before our eyes, while never seeing a head of hair he didn't sniff. The Democrats also want you to believe that they are the defenders of democracy. But in 2000, when George W. Bush won the presidency, Democrats took that to the Supreme Court because they didn't accept the results. In 2004, Democrats claimed voter fraud and tried to keep Ohio's slate of electors from being certified. How's that for accepting the results? And in 2016, they again never accepted Donald Trump's victory and put the entire country through that whole ridiculous Russia hoax. So again, so much for the Democrat idea that, oh, no, questioning elections is bad. They do it all the time. And Democrats also want us to believe that Republicans are violent. But anyone who remembers the George Floyd riots, Antifa, all of that stuff in 2020 knows that the vast majority of political violence in the U.S. comes from the left. In 2020, days before that election, I was in New York City, and I took these photos of shops in Soho that were boarded up. I asked a salesman at a shoe store why the windows were boarded up, and he said, well, it's in case the wrong guy wins. That is, everybody knew that if Trump, the wrong guy, had been declared the victor, well, there would have been trouble. So that brings us to the present day. What happens next if, as the polls suggest, Trump manages to pull off a victory? Now, remember what Kamala Harris said and what so many others said. For the left, Trump is a danger. He's a fascist. He's an existential threat to democracy who will destroy the freedoms Americans have fought for and enjoyed for 250 years. Kamala Harris said this herself. They've already tried jailing him like he's the opposition leader in some third world banana republic. And if he wins, I can tell you this, the mother of all tantrums is coming. Democrats are already again talking about not certifying the election. And I'm telling you what, I'm pretty sure some will have darker thoughts on their mind that go far beyond that, using the courts to question or undermine the election and much else besides. So my prediction, well, if Trump wins, the celebration for Republicans will be short-lived because the fight to the inauguration will have only just begun.